Okay, let's get this party started here. Welcome to Geek Out Fridays. And we're going to go with the Batman theme today. Hope everybody is having a good day. And let's clear up the screens here. Excellent. Okay. So let's start. So what do you get when you combine two Zoom calls into one? What happens when you add Geek Out Fridays along with Shall I Share My Screen? Well, you get a holy moly Batman webinar. So that's what we've got going today. And the reason is we've got 3 brand new features that we're adding to RSSMasher technology. And Wayne, are they all live right now?
Well, I think you can take the ED or no, the ING off adding because they are all live.
They're all added. Excellent. Okay. So we're going to go over each feature and then we'll take questions at the end. And if you were part of the ultimate video guide to finding the best RSS feeds yesterday, we kind of let on about the HTML editor. And I want to show you what that means, or where it is, and what that means for you. So I'm going to hop over here to my demo window here. And inside the RSSMasher, you know normally how to do this, but if you've been following along for the last year and a half, we've had this external content where you could bring in big content, you could bring in Mentorprise, you could bring in a bunch of spin content in there, but you could also use your own articles. So the biggest question was, how do you get an HTML page into a Masher site or a WordPress? Well, in WordPress, it's traditional. You just go into post and you can add HTML, you know, whatever your builder has. It could either be a drag and drop, or you could just use the custom, the text editor. But Masher sites, we do have it so you can go in manually and post them. But the biggest difference was if you added an article inside of RSSMasher, we put it in the silo. We also save the images to put into your Masher or your WordPress for you. And you could also spin it. That was the biggest trick that we had, was if you brought it in text as a spun version, you could create a whole bunch of versions on a Google Sheet and then put the Google Sheet in Masher, and then it would go to your scheduler and then onto your social media after that. So we still have that, but here's the cool thing. And I'll just bring up autoblogging post. This is one. So you can use your own articles. These are articles that we created, but now we have an HTML editor in here. It used to just be a box just like this. But here's the cool thing is you can put in your content, however you have your content. I'm just going to go over to Page Rewriter. This is the one that Michael Martin is building. In fact, this weekend, the coupon runs out. We had I think a 30% off coupon. It expires this weekend. So you need to go through our link on it. So let's bring up RSS feed training. So I've got some H1, H2 tags. And if you haven't seen this, I've got a webinar that's live on Facebook. But anyway, I'm going to spin up a new version of it. Let's just create a unique spin here. And in fact, I'm just going to grab a different template. Oops. Let's try it. I think I broke it. Let's refresh. Okay, there we go. RSS feed training. There we go. Now I'm going to take this article. I'm going to create a unique version, and I'm going to save it. But the cool thing is now you could put images in here. the problem is the images are not saved anywhere. They're active here, but they don't always transfer over when you're putting them into WordPress or you're putting them into a Masher site. So what we did was, I'm going to just copy everything here. Control C and just paste it right in here. And let's look at the preview. Okay, great. We got H1 tags, H2 tags. We got the formatting coming across. The only thing we don't have is we don't have images. So I'm just going to throw in some images here. Let's put one right here. Let's say. And you can use a web URL or you can do one from your own computer. And I'm got some saved images that we'll just use. And I'm just going to drag them over. And I'm pulling them from a featured image. Okay. So I'm just going to drag that one over and say, okay. Okay, now it kind of looks big. Let's just go to the full screen editor. It looks kind of big, so I'm going to downsize it. I'm going to highlight it, go back to my image button, hit more options, and original image size. I'm going to make it a custom size, 640 by 360. And position, let's go ahead and do, well, I'll just do center and say okay. Now I could left align it, that would probably look better. So I'm just gonna go left align, and y'all know kind of how to do this. I mean, I'm not showing you anything you haven't done before. Position, left align, come over here and put some margins in there. So I'll just give them spaces, and you could put a border around it if you wanted to. And you can even use a CSS class. Okay, so it's got line wrap going on. Real easy to do. And then whenever you're ready, you just hit update. Now, I can generate a title from it. And here is what you need to know. Now, I can also spin the title if I wanted to. And just copy all that. Make it easier. Put a pipe bar and spin the copy. What is an RSS feed? How to use it. Close that. So we can put spin tags there. I can also come in here and make a short description. And the description is just text. We don't do any spinning of the description at this point. Okay, so I'm going to hit update. Update successful. And let's go ahead and take a preview of it. Okay, this is going to look good. Now you can add multiple images in there. You can change the heading. Like right now, this is a H1 tag. See, these are probably H2s. Yep. And you can even make an H3 if, yeah, those are already H3s in there. So we got some good content. You can also do some linking if you want. Some outbound linking, like just highlight that and then put a link in there. And let's just do Google. And URL, open in a new window and say, okay. So, you know, standard HTML editor. But now what it does is whenever you're ready to save it and put it in there, I'm going to come over here. So it's that one right there. Go back into external. I'm going to add it to a G sheet. So I'm going to get that's the author. Find some G sheets to put them in. I'm just going to go down here and let's just put it in that one, autoblogging. Okay, content niche. This is the niche. This is the external content niche that we're adding to. And it's this last one. Now, if I had a spun version on there, I could create multiple unique articles to put into the G Sheet, but I'm just going to do that very first one. So add it successfully. Now I can go over here and look at the G Sheet, and there it is right there. So I have the title.
And the title will actually be your spin because you spun the title, didn't you? I think you didn't choose to spin it.
Yeah, I probably should have done that. I could have gone in and just done one unique off of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should have done that. So anyway, I've got a description and I got a link, and then this is the content box. So all that HTML we just created is sitting inside that one box there. Now, if I'm in to create a manage matches, come back over here. And I believe we're the only one that can take a G Sheet, make it into an RSS feed, and then schedule it out. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to do. I'm going to hit add. And put that in there. Put this under demo right now. Hit update. And instead of choosing website, YouTube, I'm going to choose Google Sheets, launch ninjas, and I'm going to go down to, I think I just saw it. There it is, autoblogging. Add that to the mash. And image, I've got an image in there, so I'm not going to use that. Is that correct, Wayne?
Yeah.
I don't need to check that.
No.
Okay. Hit build. Preview web. Okay. Now this is going to, the formatting is going to be picked up inside of your master site or your WordPress, whatever the theme setting is. But it's got a good title. It's got a link and RSS feed training. So this is how easy it is to get Page Rewriter into your master site or into your WordPress site, and have it siloed, have all the images saved, and have it as part of the mix inside of your content management. Okay, so real simple. It's just an external content that we added, but it's very powerful if you're going to create your own articles, either through here or in the case of, I use Conversion AI also. So let's take a look at that. Conversion AI, let's pull up a document. Here we go. I'm working on a video replacement for Vidnami. So that's an article I'm working on. Let's see if that one's actually written out. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to copy all that. 12 things you can do with an RSS feed. I don't think I even have a heading on it. So I'll copy that and come back over here. I'm going to go to external content, use own articles. And we'll go ahead and use that autoblogging post. Edit. And these are, consider these as the niche, and then these are your articles inside your niche there. And I'm going to click add, and I'm going to just paste that in there. Now I don't want it pasted like that, so I'm going to paste as a WordPress, as a Microsoft Word. So that just cleaned up the little bit of formatting that Conversion AI was using. Now this is the name of it, so I'll just copy that as my title. 12 things. Come back over here to RSSMasher and put it in as my title right here. And so I could actually run a summary if I wanted to on this, where you could create an article brief. And let's just say, post that there. And let's see, I'll show you a little bit about control. There we go. And hide all that. Okay. Looks pretty good. So I would put that in here, and I'm also going to take this and go back over to RSSMasher, put that in as a description. So I used a little bit of AI to create this, but everything looks good. I'll go ahead and hit preview. Okay, that looks nice. What's it missing? I'm going to hit update, and it's missing an image. So let's put in maybe an image like right here in the middle of the list. And let's pull one from a feed here. So let's RSS feed images. Come over here. And that's a PNG. So yeah, that's kind of a big image. So I'm gonna, I guess I could still use that. Open image, a new tab. It's a PNG. So I'll grab it, come back over here and paste the URL in there. Let's go ahead and save the file to the server. Okay. Now I'm going to go into more options. I know it's going to be really big, so I'm just going to make it custom size. It's locked. So 300. And I'm going to come over here, give it a little padding. That looks pretty good. Say okay.
See the little red circle? I just wondered if that was an error or not.
For some reason, it didn't. That's a Wikipedia. Let's see what it.
See the little icon there?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Forbidden.
Forbidden. That's.
We'll just do it not save to server for now, I guess. We should still be able to grab it.
Open image, a new tab. Okay, this is probably a better one. So I'll copy that.
Yeah.
And just come back over here.
Wikipedia would have rejected us.
Okay, save file to server. And that looks pretty good. There we go. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
See how it's done? Hit update, back, and I'm going to add it. External content, add to G Sheet. And author, tell it which G Sheet I want it to go to. Autoblogging, content niche. Now I'm going to pull it from autoblogging post, and it's this one. I'm just going to go ahead and add it. And let's go back up to MASH, and you can see I've put it in. Okay, autoblogging ads, I'll hit edit and build in preview. Okay, one article, that's the second article. Okay, real easy to do. And we encourage you to use it, especially if you're using any of the content writing tools like You know, you can use Phrase, you can use Page Rewriter, you can use your own Word doc. We're going to have a content writing service before long that you can just plug them straight into the external content and keep on going. And then that way, everything is kind of managed in one syndication source. And that's why we kind of like doing it this way. So when I'm ready, I just hit finish and activate. Okay. So that is feature number 1, is the external content HTML editor. So let's look at feature number 2, Banner Bear template groups. Now, we added some Banner Bear templates, but now we've got them grouped so where you can do several different looks of each template set. So it's probably easier to explain just by showing you. So if you're doing quotes, and this is something that we talked about, a business in a box in our last Geek Out Fridays, is how do you do a bunch of different variations of the quotes? You don't want them all looking exactly the same. So we'll go back over here to our demo, and I'm going to go into schedule. And I've got motivational quotes. They're running right now, and I'm going to hit edit. Now, I send them to Twitter and I send them to Zapier like we talked about. But let's go into Twitter here. I'm going to hit edit and come down here. I'm going to use groups. Now, previously it was templates, and we just had a quote. And now we have groups and randomize. But let's see what it looks like. So we're going to have one with kind of a blue background with the featured author and his name. You kind of see this, a square image. And Wayne, the colors are random, right? They're varied.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
So you could have this with the blue background, a white background, or no background.
Yeah, we've got a certain amount of pastel colors, about 6 or 7 pastel colors that look nice, and it will randomize throughout those.
And then we got a different little style. We have the author on this side and her name, and then the quote itself. So we got 3. We're going to be adding probably 4 or 5 more templates over the course of the next few weeks. Real nice, easy to do. And we had a great suggestion from Scott Rogers yesterday, is what if he had an image like a gift box or something, and he wanted the quote, he doesn't necessarily want the author on there, but he wanted it in the center of the page so it would overlay his background image. And he could use custom background images that he put in image packs. And we'll build some templates like that so that you could have your own background images, your custom background images you choose, and have a space for where the quote would go on top of. So this would be a nice little feature to, especially if you've got a product that you're selling, is just put a quote on top of it. So it's probably not going to happen next week, but we got some plans for September to do some custom quoting type deal. Okay. So that kind of gives you an idea, but we're going to be adding more groups in here, and we're going to be adding more templates. And right now we have just that one template there. So that's why you would want to use groups versus template, is you can have a variation of it. Okay. And
the reason it shows you one is because you are in Twitter. So the templates are specific for the destination. So if you was in Masher site, it would show you a different list.
Yep.
And that was the first one that we did.
Yep. So let's look at Zapier. Go over here to Zapier. Now, if you used, let me make sure I've got it set up correct. Okay. Quotes randomize. Now I'm going to come over here to Zapier, and I'm going to use the same setup, but I'm not burning any more of my credits because the images are already built. So what we're telling RSSMasher is use the same setup and use the same images as we originally created with Twitter. So it saves you, a little bit of cost there. Well, you're going to get credits each month being part of the API club, so it would save on your credits just by reusing what you've already made, because we've already made them and we got them stored. Okay, so it's a neat little feature. Let's see. You got one template with that, but with groups, you just choose it. And again, you can always preview and see what it looks like. As we add more templates, we'll have, good previews of it. And you can see on the template here, if we just go with that model, it's only going to show one, and it's going to be the yellow background. Are we randomizing this background on just a single template?
No, it's fixed.
Okay. So we'll add a couple more. So if you like a certain featured image, you can maybe choose one and it sticks there instead of doing a randomization. But I think as far as your Twitter goes and your Zapier, it's really good to have a variation of what the quotes look like.
Yeah, what's coming out probably Monday is if our template has got a color in it, it will ask you what color you would like, or do you want a random color?
Yeah, so you could have a theme, some color you like just to set it off as a brand.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions up to this point?
Yes, we've got. Look. No, Walt asks, will we be able to import our own set of quotes and authors? Not at this moment. We've gone to great lengths to do that for you so that you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, and Mike mentioned something about Airtable. Mike, we may reach out to you later on and talk about Airtable. It's, that might be a good integration in lieu of Google, but for right now, we're trying to keep it simple and trying to keep the cost down for everybody. So let's move on. And okay, so that was feature number 2. Now we're going to go to the Holy Grail part 2. I should have said the Holy Moly Grail, but since we have a Batman theme there, and I looked at this boat here. That was a really old looking boat when compared to some of the newer boats. So we have the originations of original content from an RSS feed. If you remember probably a month ago, we had the Holy Grail project as our Geek Out Friday. And we wanted smart cropping, which we have now through Banner Bear. We wanted original content from RSS feeds. And we've got some other things coming in on the Holy Grail project. But this is feature number 3 that we're introducing as our AI content spinning. Now, Wayne, you ready to demo that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Shall I share my screen?
Absolutely.
So you can all see my dashboard.
Yes.
Excellent. I think we won't say anything, but I think Don is jumping the gun, shall we say? Okay. I hope you've got a coffee and you're not drinking it at the same time, because we don't want you to spit it out all over your keyboard when you see what we've done. I'm going to show you a mash, which we was using, in fact, on a call, if you may have been on it or not, a few days ago, and it was about gaming. edit that. And it's everything's normal. It's got a nice feed. I'm just going to pull 5 articles from it, and it's full content. And if we build it, you've seen it a million times. You've done it a million times, but we'll just run through and show you. And there's the article. I've cleaned it up nicely in the advanced, but there's the article with some images. Okay, so what we have done is, in fact, I'll open in another tab, and I'll just drag this up over here, so I can show you an integration. There we go. I'll just hide the info for now. So in the integrations tab, right at the bottom, we've got WordAI. So now you'll be able to click on that, and it will show you a screen like this. And if you haven't got WordAI, you can click this hyperlink here, and it will take you over so you can get the WordAI account. And you simply put in your email, your API key, and the default uniqueness that they offer. Adventurous, regular, and more conservative. Regular seems good for me, in between the two. And then you click update, and then there's a little test box down here, which should work, may work, but I just blanked out theirs there for now. So this is a test for WordAI. I hope it works. Click test. Yeah, I thought it might. I'll just show it you. It's still got some of it blanked. This is, because this goes out on YouTube, you see, so I didn't want us to have to edit it later. This is a test for WordAI. Let's see what you can do. And then we click test. And then it will run the API and it will do a conversion for you. This is WordAI testing. Let's see how you do. So that just shows you that your connection works. So now that that is integrated, and for those of you that are running to RSSMasher to look for that menu, it won't be there till after this call. It's all live, but I'll enable it once the call's over. So we had, because of the Holy Grail, and you know what's going on there, we had a big think about how best to do this, and we had lots and lots of different ideas. And it's, to be honest, it's not as simple as just sending an article to a spinner, irrespective of which one you use, because they can, and they do, destroy the content, the HTML. And I can actually show you that we do a lot behind the scenes to minimize that for you automatically, but you can still run into issues with things disappearing. So the idea of what we've built is straight from the RSS feed. The article comes in, you can do all of your MASH stuff as normal, but we can also spin it to make it unique before it then gets stored and goes across to the scheduler for you to actually post it to where you want to go. So what this is going to do is it's going to give you unique content, and using WordAI, they kind of quote unquote guarantee that it goes through Copyscape. So you're going to get unique content which goes to your site, which is going to be a massive improvement on anything that you're doing to get ranking. So I will edit the gaming MASH. And inside where you add the feed, once you've integrated WordAI, there's an extra column here that we didn't have before. And you simply tick it. Now you might have 3 or 4 feeds in here, but you don't want to spin all of them. So you just tick the ones here that you want to spin. So I could have 2 in here, 1 would be spinned and 1 would not. Completely up to you. And then everything else that goes on in the mash would still apply. And then because this has now been ticked and it's activated, when you get to the build, you'll notice a new bit of control. And what we've done, this is to minimize your credits that you're sending across, your words that you spin. While you're in the build process, everyone's got used to modify, build, preview, modify, build, previews. And if you keep doing that, particularly if you've got this set to 15 articles, you could be sitting over here and accidentally spin 15 articles, which is, you know, however many words that will be. And then you might think, oh, that's not quite how I wanted it. I need to do a little bit more in the advanced tab, for example, or I forgot the money hook. And then you click build again, and then it'll go and spin it again 15 times. So the idea is, and I'll just do 5 for speed here. But during the build process, you'll notice here that we will only spin the first article's content of each feed during the build. So every feed that you tick here, we will only spin the first article and the rest will be left alone so that we're not burning all your credits while you're testing and setting up your mash. And then obviously once you're happy with it and you click finish and activate, then the system will take over and it will spin every one. But while you're in this area, we've basically looked after your account for you. We've thought about it, and we're only going to burn 1 at a time so that you can see what they look like. Now, you can still click build without ticking that box and it won't spin anything. So you can set it all up and say, okay, I'm going to spin the content on this one, but I want to see how it looks first. So you can click build and then you can click preview web and you can look at it and go, yep, it's looking good. So now I want to tick the...
Wayne, before you go there,
yep.
You said you had some advanced text.
Now I'm going to come to that in a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm going to show you what happens and how to fix it. So if you don't tick that box, it's just a normal build still, but and this box only appears if you've actually ticked it down there. So we're kind of like looking after you and your credits. So when you tick that box, if I click build, it will pop up a box to say, are you sure you want to use your WordAI credits at this time? I'll click OK, knowing that it's only going to spin the first one. And the other, if it finds 5 articles, the other 4 are going to be left as they are found in the feed, but the first one's going to be spun. So there was the original preview web. And here is the spun one. Now, who notices anything? The images have gone. This is one of the issues with sending HTML to a spinner. Now, aren't you glad you've got RSSMasher? Because we've thought about that. And incidentally, let's just look at what's happened here. We've got, obviously, the title and the description we're not touching, and I'll come back to that in a bit after we've finished here. But here we've got Sony is adding a new way to expand the storage capacity of the PlayStation 5. Sony has a new way for PlayStation 5 to increase its storage capacity. I mean, it's just brilliant, isn't it, really? It means that gamers who are running out of space on the console's hard drive will no longer have to delete games before downloading new ones. Has been spun too. This means that gamers with limited storage space on their console's hard drives will not have to delete any games in order to download newer versions.
Now, guys, I'm going to slow you down here. Somebody asked a question: is WordAI readable? I have tested WordAI, and I've been a spin rewriter customer for probably 8 years, 9 years. Spin rewriter is junk sometimes whenever you spin it. WordAI's new version 5, actually makes your content read easier and better. And I don't know how they do it, but I can take a conversion AI with the tone of Dan Kennedy and then run it through WordAI and actually make it more readable and easier to understand. It's the best spinner I've had. And that's why we're not going with any other variations right now, is we're using WordAI and their OpenAI technology that they're using. It makes a really nice, readable content that passes Copyscape.
Here we've got 3 bullet points in the original article. Read the latest stories for PS5, was changed to check out the most recent stories about PS5. So is the content readable? I think that this has just proven that it is. But there's an issue. As you can see, I've lost the images. And there will be other HTML going forward as you use this that will probably disappear, because although WordAI is clever, it's really sometimes, not too clever, because it will go, oh, I don't understand that bit, I'll just get rid of it for you, which is not what we want. So we've thought about that. So for those that may have noticed, if they've been in Masher a couple of days, if we go into the Advanced tab, this is where we can clean everything up. We can remove everything, or we can replace, sections, and we've done this many times. And you'll see down here, I clean this content up quite a lot. But we've now added a protect section. What this allows you to do, and this will only show up, it'll be ghosted if you're not spinning anything. So if you're not spinning, when you get to here, that will be disabled, because it's only used for when you spin content. So I'm on the right feed because I've only, I have got 2. I've got a YouTube one, but I've disabled it. So I'm on the right feed, and I'm going to go into protect. And what I want it to do is I want to protect the things that I've noticed WordAI, nearly said spin rewriter there, is removing. So all the images start with that tag. So we will go through the content for you, and we will look for these, and we will protect that area when we spin the content. And it's closed off with the end of the image tab. And to find out how that's being done, you can obviously go to the build tab, click preview XML on a one that isn't been spun. So if I go to the second article, you'll see there's the start of the image. And it goes down and all the way, because we need all that, and then we've got the slash angle bracket there. So all I'm putting in here is that very tag, the start of it. I want to keep everything else until you find that. Make it active and click add. So I've told RSSMasher now that when you spin, I want you to protect this area. And I'm not going to say how we do this because that's our edge, but this is how you tell it. Go to the last page. You'll see we've now got a protect. So please protect that content when you find any. We go to build, and I'll rebuild it. And we'll get we may get the same spun version, we may get a different one. Oh, look, we've got images. Fantastic. We've even got video at the bottom. And if the video doesn't come back, you can just add a protect. Look for the video tag and put it in and protect it. Now, what this will be good for is if you are adding things, let's say you've added things in your own article content, for example, and you know what it is, but then you want to feed it through and you want it to spin, then you'd probably want to protect that extra bit that you added at that stage, so you'll be able to tell the Mash to protect that area for you. So if you did an iframe embed, for example, you might want to protect that area before it goes to the spinner. So, and just to explain something, it will always run the advanced tab first, so that you can still, don't worry about the spin at all. Just use the Mash as you normally do. The advanced will clean up the Mash so it's exactly how you want it. Then it will spin it. And the reason we are spinning in the Mash is if we leave it to the scheduler where we normally do things, then that's too late, because if you've got money hooks or key anchor texts and all that going on, then by the time it gets to the scheduler and gets spun, all that nice work that you did in the Mash will get ruined. Because it might, you might hyperlink the word football stadium, for example, and then if we sent it to the spinner, it might change football stadium to football park, for example. You know, you get the idea. And then you've lost your hyperlink. It doesn't make sense anymore. So what happens now is if you are spinning, then the anchor text would happen after it spun it. So it would look for those words in the spun version and then hyperlink it, which is genius. Any questions? There's loads of nice comments.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions coming in. So the biggest question is do you need WordAI to do this? Do you need your own account, or we're going to provide? You need your own account. We can't provide you our account. They do have a certain limit on the number of credit spends, but you're going to need WordAI if you create original content. So Wayne, let's move forward to the scheduler. Let's talk about it too.
Yeah. I'll just double check that that's not active, that Mash. Don't really want to run it. No, it's not. Good. Okay. We've also built it into the scheduler. So down here, where you want things to go. So we've done the Mash. It's now spun. We've now got unique content. So now in this example, I would be sending it to a Mash site. So I'll edit it. There's my test Mash site. And then when the system knows you've got WordAI integrated, it adds it here. and you can decide whether you want to do any spinning here. And you're thinking, well, what would I want to spin here because we've already spun it? Well, at this stage, you can decide whether you want to spin the title or the description. I mean, we don't see the description really when you post an article, but I'll explain why we've got that there for when I show you other, basically when we go to things like Tumblr and that kind of thing, and Blogger. So you can actually spin the title, and it will give you, at this point, you could change the uniqueness if you wish. I've done some testing with this, and to be fair, I don't really see much difference, so I always leave it in the middle. And then everything else is the same. You can use the banner bear still, and then you click update. And then what will happen is when we come to schedule it out, it will post your newly spun content, obviously, but then it will also send the title across and spin the title for you. Now, when we add, say you want to also send it to Blogger. So I'm going to create a backlink to Blogger, and I'll just pick anyone at the moment. That one will do. Now, I don't want to post the content. I just want to post the title. I want to post the description. So we've got a little summary of what it's about. I want to post the first image so it looks nice. And then I want to bounce it back to the Masher site. But then here, I'm going to click spin. Now, I want to spin the title, and I want to spin the description as well. So what that's going to do then is the summary that goes over to Blogger is also going to be spun so that it's unique, and the title is going to be unique. But we've kind of forward thought across the whole of the system, whether you're sending it to WordPress, Mashers, you can spin to Tumblr, and you can spin to Blogger. WordAI lets you, without any extra cost, get 4 variations. So if you say spin title, we get those 4 for you, and we store them in your account in the back end. So that then when you want to send a spun title to Blogger, and then you might add Tumblr as well, and you might want to send a spin title to Tumblr. We don't, if we did 4 individual calls, you'd get 4 individual charges. But if we ask for 4 at the same time, it charges you once. So that's what we do, and we get those. If we go to 5, then it's a bigger cost, and we've only got 4 services that you can spin the title and the description to anyway. So that's perfect. That's WordPress, Masher sites, Blogger, and Tumblr. Because all the others like Twitter, they post. I suppose we could add it to. We'll have a think about that. We could add it to sort of the title that we send across. But usually, there's not enough information that goes to the others that wanted us to spin it. So we picked those 4 first. So the idea is then that whichever one goes first, so if Masher site and you want it to spin, it will go and get them and store them. And then when Tumblr comes across, it will say, oh, you've already got that for me. I'll pick a different one. And then when Blogger or the other one goes across to get a spun title, it will look in the database and it will say, oh, you've already done that. So it doesn't have to do another call. So again, saving you credits while we're doing it. Then you just click update, and then this would get spun, and you'd have a spun title and the spun description in Blogger for that tier 1 backlink back to the Masher sites, which is also potentially could have a spun title, and the whole of the content has been spun in the Mash.
Can you show us on Twitter and Blogger what they look like through edit?
Yeah, Twitter doesn't ask for spinning. It never has.
Okay.
You can. It's because we usually just post a link, don't we? And then the link brings the content in from the site. So if that content's been spun anyway, Twitter doesn't need to spin, because, like, for example, if I was, there's the Masher site, edit, and we go down and we say, spinning, yes, please. Spin the title, yes, I want you to spin the title, update. So now when it goes to Masher, we're going to have a new title and the content spun inside the Mash. And then Twitter, if we go to Twitter, post it to there, the Masher site link, all the normal things. When that goes to Twitter, it will be the Masher site post link, which will show your spun content anyway, because it brings the image across, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's good. That's great. And Tumblr, you can do a.
Tumblr's good. Yeah, I'll add the one area in Tumblr is when you post to the text one. You can post the content, and if you do post the content, then it is going to be the full content that you've just spun. If you post the description and add a read more, then that's the summary with a button back to the original. But then down here, you've got the option to spin. Spin the title, spin the description. And then that will basically, if this is the only one in there, it will go and spin it for you. But if something else has been there before you, like Blogger, it will have already got it. And then there's a spare title and a spare description just sitting in our system waiting for Tumblr to grab and use, saving you credits. The others don't. The others don't warrant spinning because one's a video, one's a picture, and one's just a link. So in text. And incidentally, you can use, at this point, you can use spin rewrite of it.
Yeah, and if you have WordAI, I would highly recommend use WordAI off of your Masher site. Spin the title, spin the description. Guys, this is, I know the user interface is, it's maybe confusing right now, but you do this enough times, it's just going to be second nature. Wayne and I intend on building sites that are spun, WordAI spun RSS feed blogs. And a question's been asked is, do you still cite and reference the original source? That is going to be your call. Me personally, I'll cite the source, but I may not give them a read more link. I may just say, this the original content was sourced from here. So, just keep in mind, this is, we're bordering on that, on the on the edge of getting original content from somebody else doing all the work. So always keep that in mind, is, you at least you can pay him back with the link juice if you wanted, or a citation. But once you start using this, we're going after SEO traffic. When you start spinning, is now you're outside of the duplicate content range, and you're into original content that you can SEO for. So the other option too is, if you really want a original content, swap the images out, and you can do an image swap. And Wayne doesn't know this, but he suggested it the other day, and I think it's a great idea. We got another feature. We got a fourth bonus feature I want to announce. Wayne, can I take over the screen share?
Yep.
Okay. And I hope it's okay with Wayne.
I'm sure it is.
Okay. So that was our number 3. That was part of the holy grail of autoblogging. And we'll have, probably another day of training, to go with it. But here's what we've done is we've added another, like he said, we added a protect block in the advanced tab to protect your images, your videos, your iframes. You may have some Google map embeds. If you see it missing whenever you do your first spin on a built-in preview, then you'll just need to go in and do this. We're going to probably set up some generic templates for protecting images, videos, and iframes, but they'll just be generic and drop down. This is so new that this is the first time I'm actually seeing some of the things too. So I know we need probably a video of just training on how to do the spinner, how to run it correctly. But we're getting really close to the Holy Grail mission of original content from an RSS feed, smart cropping, image swapping, and a complete spinning of the content. Okay, so what does it take to make an original content out of an RSS feed? Well, you got to have a good RSS feed. And if you are on this call and you haven't been to the ultimate video guide for finding the best RSS feeds Facebook group, I suggest you go there. We have 4 days of training on how Wayne and I find RSS feeds, how we use them with RSSMasher, and some bonus stuff on research tools. And once you go through there, it's going to make a lot more sense on how to find the right RSS feed for this. The one thing we haven't tested is cooking recipes. Is it going to change, 2 teaspoons to 3 teaspoons? We might get some different recipes. So we haven't really tested it on recipe generation, but we'll look at it. Now, of course, you need RSSMasher to work it out. And guys, if you've been following us long enough, we have several guys that are program developers always copying us. Everything that we do, we get copied. And that's fine because we know what we're doing, and some of these other guys think they know what they're doing. And as a result, Wayne has spent a lot of time with WordAI. There's certain things that we're not disclosing as kind of proprietary information of how we're making this work with an RSS feed. But to make it work for yourself, you need WordAI. I wish I could say I could get a discount for you, but I've tried 2 different times with WordAI group this week, and they said, no, we're not offering discounts. We know what we got. Basically was the response is this version 5 that they've come up with using the OpenAI integration is absolutely incredible. And I've been testing it for a couple weeks now, and I can write better using WordAI. I can't say the same for Spin Rewriter or the Best Spinner or any of these other tools out there. I have a lot of experience with Spin Rewriter, and when you compare side by side, WordAI is hands down the best way for you to get original copy. So that's the link, vidpenguin.link/WordAI. If you go into our RSSMasher, we have a link in the banner image down below. So just add your API and you're ready to go. Okay. Now, I told you there was a bonus. We have a special feature announcement bonus. Effective today, all image packs are now free. So these are the ones that we were charging between $5 and $9. I mean, not a lot of money, but I think there are 50 or 60 different image packs out there. And in fact, I'll just drag this across. These are the featured image sets. So I've got at least 100 images for football, for baseball, for soccer, cancer, stress relief, diabetes. Just look at golfing here. And let's make the picture extra large icons. So all these images are available for you to use in any of your RSS feeds. Now this is just golfing, but we got CBD in here. We've got crypto, we got cooking, gambling. So how do you find these? How do you add them to your system? Well, let's go over to the demo page here and go into Marketplace, go into image packs. And of course, you got to be freshly logged in here. And just add them in. So you're going to go to Marketplace, image packs. And where they used to have a fee, well, they're not actually going to charge you a fee, although, Wayne, I changed all these to 0 yesterday, and now they're back to $7.
I didn't think you've changed them, to be fair.
Okay.
I'm looking as we speak.
Okay. So we'll get this fixed, but every one of these are going to be 0. In fact, I guess it just updated. So you can kind of see like goal setting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you have done them. I think it's a refresh.
Okay. That's probably what happened. Yeah.
Or maybe you missed one.
Okay. So there's goal setting.
There we go.
So, now, it's not going to have the overlay on it, the RSSMasher technology. That's gone whenever you swap them out. So if I wanted to, I could come back in here and let's go back up to dashboard. Oh, manage mashes. Manage mashes. And I think we did one barbecue. Lifestyle celebrities. I'll just look at that real quick. So lifestyle celebrities, we're going to look at it, edit. And these are actual blogs. So let's just build and preview what it looks like now. So I haven't modified any of the images here. These are straight from. Now, I may want to keep some of these images in there. Okay, let me do this. Let me find a better feed that it would match up to.
To be fair, that's a great feed.
Yeah, that's great. I don't want to mess up those images.
Everyone's just woken up.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go back up here. Let's do it. We'll try this one. We'll just look at that.
Yeah, they are all free. I can see them all free. They're working nice. And there's another feature after this that I'm going to explain.
So this has one image in each of them. And this is, we actually made it from, I think, RSS Ground. This is some good articles that we had in there. So let's go in here, show you how to do an image swap. Now, I know we've gone over this in the past, but just give you a quick refresher course here. I'm going to go to image, replace, image packs. Now, I think I have one on home improvement. And you can load them all up. If you haven't added them yet, you won't see them in here. But let's see. Kitchens. Thought I had one in for home improvement. Beautiful home interiors. Got that one. I think I've got even barbecue and grilling, backyard escapes. That's the one I like. Okay, image order, you can do random or in a sequential order from the very first one down. I'm going to do random. Image replacement, I'm going to replace all images. You can either do first image or all images. And I always like to only replace that. Add a featured image to text only articles. So if you have no images at all and you want to bring in a really good blog post that doesn't have images, just check that box. That's how easy it is. But I know this one has images. And come over here to build. Preview web. Okay. Now, sometimes your image may not match up, but this is just beautiful. I mean, I did a lot of research to get some really good articles, good images in there. So this image will attract attention on a Google search, on a Pinterest board, on Instagram. This is a beautiful image. And then here's the title: 3 reasons why homeowners should have backup generators on hand. The most popular blind types. Again, that's sometimes it will repeat an image when you're doing random. This image doesn't really match up to Christmassy. So occasionally you're going to get one like that doesn't match up, but this is a beautiful image of a back. And so anyway, you can, if you don't like that, then you can always come back in and put them in sequential order. So I'll just show you what that looks like. All images, random, order, update.
And incidentally, all the images in our image packs are royalty free.
Yep. And preview web. Okay. So I just reset the images. They're all going in order, so we shouldn't have any duplicates in here. Yep. These look great. And how to make it more Christmassy, I don't know if that image actually fits. So anyway, image swaps, you know, it is sometimes it's a hit or miss, so just keep that in mind. But we have great images that you can use, and especially if you have a great blog with no images. Okay, so Wayne, anything else?
Yeah. Now Peter says, can we add an alt tag to the images? You could do, if you're pretty good in the advanced tab, you could potentially do something in there. But we can't do that direct in Masher to say add this tag at the moment. Maybe go to my feature request and add it in there and see if it gets an upvote. Yes, I've got something to add. Being as we're in a really generous mode, to celebrate the fact that we've now got content spinning, you do actually need the advanced tab if you want to protect the areas. So the advanced tab is a premium feature, really. But we're going to make it so if any of you have got standard, basically the advanced tab, you'll be able to go into your settings and turn it on. We're going to give the advanced tab to everybody.
And that's great, because now you can use this, and it's really just dependent on what all you want to use it for. But WordAI, combining WordAI with some really good article feeds from RSS feeds and putting it through RSSMasher, this is a game changer. Is what we feel like. Is now we're going after SEO traffic. Is we're not going to be penalized by any duplicate content issue. We're going to spin the title, spin the description, spin the content, and we're off to the races. A couple of good questions here. Mike asked, is Article Forge needed, useful, or is WordAI just a better option? Mike, I think they're actually owned by the same company. I may be wrong, but Article Forge is not needed here. I have an account with Article Forge, and it's kind of like big content. It's just out of date context, and with all the content spinning, are all the conversion AI, phrase, page rewriter, all these new tools that are coming out that are using the open AI technology with SEO. You really don't need Article Forge at all. My subscription expires in December. I'm going to get rid of it. But WordAI is by far, if you do any spinning, any testing of products, you'll know that you really have to look at different software to be able to compare. And I've seen a lot of spinners, and I'm really impressed with what WordAI has done. Let's see. Yeah, Peter said we do need to protect images and videos when you are spinning, and it's that's why we set it up to test. Okay. Yep. So guys, any other questions? I hope you enjoy being part of the RSSMasher teams, because what you bought back a year and a half ago as a beta team member, or what you bought recently with RSSMasher, we're always trying to improve the product. We're always thinking in terms of what do we need to be competitive with our product, but what do we need to make money with our product, to get traffic. That's the key to all this, is traffic. Blogs make money with traffic. You got your ad banners, and we're going into in the September and October, we're going into advertorials, listicles, and we're going to be announcing a whole bunch of new features that are going to be available through both RSSMasher and the Autoblogging Ads Network. So kind of just stay tuned. I mean, we got a lot ahead for you. And if you haven't seen it, I know I mentioned it earlier, is go to Facebook group, The Ultimate Video Guide for RSS Feeds, and watch those videos. Very good content on how to find the best RSS feeds. Wayne, anything else to add, or any questions you think we missed?
No, there's a few people asked, where's the WordAI? And if you caught me at the beginning, I said after the call, it will be activated. So shortly after, if you log out and log back in, say in about 2 or 3 minutes time after the call, it will be there.
And for the guys that, I saw a question earlier about Google AdSense. You want to fool Google AdSense? Turn on your WordAI, and then you should have a better chance of that first run through on getting Google AdSense approval. And we're going to be doing a little bit more strategy training over the course of the next probably few months. Is as Wayne and I are testing things, we're kind of slowing down. We're hitting the apex product development for this year for RSSMasher, but we're going to be using these tools, and we're going to be giving you the strategies that work for us. So we're testing things at the same time y'all are using it. And in fact, if y'all have great ideas, share them with us. Share them with the group inside RSSMasher. We have a very active group, and hopefully, in very short time, we've got some things that are happening that are going to make you some money. So, anything else, Wayne?
No, all good. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you liked our new features.
Yep. Thank y'all very much, and we will see you on another call. Bye-bye.
Bye.